I'm Chris Direwald, and this is Power Play. Yay! Hi, Internet. How are you? Okay, so ticket splitting is something that people used to do a lot. If you were hanging out with Don Draper in mid-century America, ticket splitting was a very common practice. People would vote president one way on the top of the ticket, and then they vote Senate, and then they vote governor, and then they vote da-da-da, and they would go back and forth. But straight ticket voting has become more common in the better sorted America. All of the liberals are now Democrats, and all of the conservatives are Republicans, or vote that way, generally speaking, in the general elections. But we are seeing new evidence that ticket splitting may be making, much like many retro things, a comeback in 2016. What about that? Josh Kraushaar is, in fact, the political editor for National Journal, Smart Mammal, to be listened to. Also to be listened to is Sarah Westwood of the Washington Examiner. All right, guys, starting with you, Josh. When we talk about the ticket splitter, we had an almost one-to-one correlation in 2012 for Senate votes with presidential votes. If you voted for Mitt Romney, you almost certainly voted for the Republican Senate candidate, and if you voted for Barack Obama, you almost certainly voted for the Democrat. And that seemed to be the tale of the tape. Could it be different this time?
It absolutely could be different, because there are a lot of Republicans, or at least 15 to 20% of Republicans, who aren't entirely comfortable with voting for Trump, but they're conservative. They reliably vote Republican down ballot, and usually for president in past elections. So like in Ohio, where you have Rob Portman running well ahead of the Democratic challenger, Ted Strickland, you're seeing polls showing a sizable share of voters, 15, 25% of voters, saying that they'll vote for Hillary Clinton, but also vote for Rob Portman. The USA Today Suffolk poll that came out last week showed over half of Hillary Clinton supporters would seriously consider voting for a Republican down their ballot. So this election is unlike any other election. So don't expect the past to necessarily repeat itself in the future.
And we have seen, Sarah, consistently 15 to 25% higher numbers for we ask a question, pollsters ask a question, which is, which party basically, is some form of this, which party do you think ought to control Congress? And we have seen the numbers for Republican control of Congress doing substantially better, especially among undecided voters. Is this about, as Josh says, is it more about what Josh says here, where you have people who may be voting for Hillary at the top of the ticket, but they're Republicans by nature? But how much of it could be people who say, I'm going to vote for Hillary, but I want to put a check on her?
You know, that is one of the reasons why some Democrats might split ticket down the ballot, and that is the fear that Trump supporters might, need to adopt, is that somewhere down the line, Republicans might pull the plug on him if he doesn't really close the gap in some of these battleground states and start pouring all their resources into a campaign to not give Hillary Clinton just a blank check to the government and to put a check on her by maintaining these majorities in the House and the Senate.
In 1996, that's what Bob Dole eventually switched his campaign to be. And we're starting to hear, Josh, that same message come in certain races. We've heard it tried out by Speaker of the House Paul Ryan. We've heard it from John McCain in Arizona, a state that, by the way, can you believe that Arizona is a toss-up? But that don't give her a blank check. You need to send me to Washington to put a check on her.
And for Republicans to hold the Senate, they need to win over the Republicans that aren't voting for Trump, but they also need to win over those people worried about Hillary Clinton having unchecked power in Washington. And that's a message that doesn't just resonate with Republicans, it resonates with independents and even some more moderate Democrats, conservative Democrats, those that are left that have some real worries about Clinton, even though they may vote for her. So, the Republicans can have a decent night. They may lose the Senate, but have a decent night if they just get the Republicans to show up. But if they can make that argument about checks and balances, that's their path to keeping the majority.
So it's kind of weird then. Well, it's 2016. But it's kind of weird because the presumption going into this was that Donald Trump was going to be the drag down the ticket. But if Hillary Clinton has a 66% not honest and trustworthy rating, consistent, 2/3 of the electorate says she's not honest and trustworthy, but approaching half are saying that they're going to vote for her, that means there are a lot of people who are voting for Hillary Clinton who don't trust her. Could Hillary Clinton actually hurt Democrats?
That's a concern we saw reflected in the emails that were leaked from the DNC by WikiLeaks, is that they were concerned about down ballots. And for all this talk about Donald Trump dragging down, lower candidates on the ticket, the candidates who have just embraced him, endorsed him, got it out of the way and moved on, Portman, is the greatest example of that. They've been doing the best. And candidates who tried to thread the needle, like Kelly Ayotte or Pat Toomey, they're struggling a little bit because the headlines keep focusing on their equivocation.
New Hampshire ain't Ohio. New Hampshire ain't Ohio.
Right, there are obviously other factors in play, but Rob Portman has avoided continuous headlines about, his footwork there.
He also has about $10 quadrillion and a Democratic opponent that Democrats every day go, oh, dude, really? Last word.
Here's my favorite race, Indiana. Evan Bayh is actually going to have to distance himself from Clinton because Trump is his favorite to win Indiana. Yeah. It's a state where he's leading, but has a lot of baggage, and Republicans are throwing the kitchen sink at him. So this is going to be one of those weird races where Democrats are saying, actually, there will be a lot of split-ticket voters, except that they're going the other way. So their spin hasn't been entirely consistent, and that's why Evan Bayh might be in a lot more trouble than people think.
Guys, thank you very much. We have a saying, by the way, where I come from, which is you eat the frog first. If you have something unpleasant to do, you do it first, and then you get on to the rest. Maybe that's 2016. All right, Internet, we hope you come back for more Power Play real soon.